Damn guards. Shut up.
Do you recognize him, Sable?
Yeah, I recognize him, James, but not from the assassination attempt. I remember him because he annoyed me on our first meeting. It was just after the Battle of the Warren, and he showed up, demanded my attention, and expected me to personally show him around. I was still trying to organize the cleanup. He wasn't a diplomat, and he wasn't a commander or a general, so I just didn't have the time. I fobbed him off on someone. I don't even remember who. I tried to be as gracious about it as I could. Maybe he was personally offended.
You don't really think that's why he tried to assassinate you, do you?
Of course not, James. I was just trying to make a joke. A little gallows humor. I guess you probably don't think it's funny.
Not really, no.
Yeah, not so much.
Fair enough, fair enough. I often get into trouble for my warped sense of humor. Gotta laugh or I'd cry, right? Of course, the question isn't really who he is, it's who sent him.
We weren't able to track the signal. It wasn't to a cell phone.
I think it might have been the company.
Yes, I think you're likely right. They're the logical suspects. Stretch is checking that out for us. I guess he's got a few old contacts he thinks he can reach who might be willing to share information depending on what we're offering. I told him I'd back him regardless of what he promised. But there's a lot of other people who could be too, and we can't just rule them out because we think we know. Our enemy might be counting on us to go herring off on assumptions. Frith knows I've done it before.
We checked out Dazzlecat, but if she had anything to do with it, no one saw anything. We checked out Princess Melody too. We talked to her about the Shallows and about her map.
I don't think Princess Melody's involved. Never mind that I can't imagine her killing anything that isn't a mouse or a fish. She has no motive. There's nothing for her to gain by my death.
Except the tome, Sable.
Yeah, but are we going to question everyone and everything in the realm? And wouldn't it just be easier to steal it for someone who can open random dimensional portals? There's far more likely candidates. Look, I think the Iron Tome has a corrupting influence. I think it's sort of like the One Ring. So I think the ones who are most likely to act violently are going to be the ones who already have a reason to want me out of the picture. Which reminds me, have you investigated my sons yet?
Sable, are you serious?
I'm not an idiot, guys. I don't want to believe they could do such a thing, but it wouldn't be the first time the heir apparent tried to assassinate a monarch to get the crown early, right? Especially if something like the Iron Tome is involved and comes with it. Both of them have been undead before, and we know that just because someone comes back to life doesn't mean that all the effects are gone necessarily. With the status of the succession in question, either one might be tempted to create chaos. Which puts Queen Siobhan on the suspects list too, I'm sorry to say.
I never even thought about her. Not more than the other house leaders anyway.
Now, don't you go grilling them or anything, guys. The press would have a field day. We have far more likely suspects. It's just that we should keep them in mind, that's all. Do it discreetly.
It's alright, House Leader. We'll watch them.
We're not idiots either, Sable Ra.
Yeah, fair enough.
I hate to ask, but have you considered Aaron?
I might have, but he's had ample opportunity to steal the tome without having to murder me. And you tell me he summoned Colin Walsh from our weird West world to heal me when I was in a coma. As a matter of fact, I think he's staying away from the Warren because he doesn't trust himself not to be taken over by the Night King again. Put that together, and he's probably the only one we know for a fact we can trust.
Ah.
Good point.
So what's next then, House Leader?
Yeah, I don't really like the idea of just sitting around and doing nothing while we wait for these people to try again.
You don't have enough to do with keeping an eye on my offspring, the other house leaders, and their elite guards? Okay, but yeah, there is more to do. I want you to run a full background check on anyone living full-time at the Warren, even if they've been here for years. The company has been screwing with my family for a long time, and a lot of personal and private material was leaked to the public during the World War. They might have some really deep moles.
But if that's true, wouldn't it be easier to get the mole to pass information to the outside rather than enlisting someone you've barely met and didn't get along with?
Yes, it would, but they're a bunch of cloak and dagger types. They might have done this just to pull us off the trail. It can't have escaped anyone's notice that we've been looking for the security leaks. And let's face it, the attempt wasn't that sophisticated, was it? So the person or people responsible were either psychotic, inexperienced, young, or trying to create a diversion.
Yeah, I considered how bold this was, and I wondered why they didn't try something like poison. Those are good reasons.
Okay, we'll get right on that, Sable.
Low priority, though. You guys are busy enough already. Maybe start with people who are newer to the Warren and those who don't have well-known affiliations.
Sure, makes sense.
Copy that, Sable. Will do.
Well, guys, I have to get back to work. I'm so far behind on wording with all this chaos.
Yes, of course. Kit is on guard duty, so I'll be in my quarters if you need me.
Very good, James. Thank you, gentlemen.
So, Sunny or Galacron then?
Yes, I agree. And maybe G. Gwen is still watching them.
Yeah.
I'll keep an eye on Jane then.
Is there anything else, gentlemen?
No, Sable Ra. The captain was just making sure I knew the schedule.
Good. Carry on then, Kit.
Yes, sir.